These are Tarrales. They're an Italian cookie. They're not as sweet as some of the other cookies we make, and they get their flavor from the grated orange peel contained in the dough and the orange juice contained in the glaze. Our recipe makes 5 dozen cookies, and the total preparation, baking, cooling, and glazing time is 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 hours. Here we have everything we need to make Tarrales. We're going to start with 4 cups of flour, which is what we've got in the bowl here. To that we're going to add a cup of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 3 teaspoons of baking powder. And then we're just going to take a whisk and blend all that dry stuff together. And that's good enough. Now we're going to add a 1/2 cup, which is 1 stick of unsalted margarine that we've cut into pieces. And now we're going to use our cutting tool to cut that margarine into what we have so far. And when that tool loads up, we just take our butter knife and scrape it out and mix it some more. And we're going to keep doing that until all the large pieces of margarine are worked away into the dough. And you can't cheat here. You gotta make sure that you've got that margarine, all those big hunks of it, blended in, because we're not using a mixer here. We're going to mix this totally by hand, so you can't rely on that mixer to pound the fat into smaller pieces. But you can see here it only takes 2 or 3 minutes if you've got a cutting tool. And we're down to very small particles that you can see. And that's pretty good. And there you see, you don't see any large particles of the fat anymore. So now we're going to make a well in the middle of the bowl. And now comes the fun part. We add 2 eggs, 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 1/2 cup of water, and a 1/2 tablespoon each of grated lemon peel. Make sure we get all of that. And grated orange peel. And now it's sticky fingers time, and we just work that in. And as you can see at the beginning, it's pretty yucky. But you gotta use your fingers and get all that dry stuff out of the bottom of the bowl and get it all blended in. See, there's still some dry stuff down there. So you've got all this wet stuff on your hands. Reach down in there and get it. But you got to get that all incorporated in. And there is no pretty and no graceful way to do this one. Turn that over and you can still see there's dry stuff in the bottom that we're picking up. So we'll just keep working it. And that's pretty good. See, it's starting to come together. All the dry stuff's done. Now you've got so much stuck to your hands, you can start picking that off. And it'll start wanting to stay with the rest of the dough in the bowl. And there. That's all pretty well blended. We've got a fairly sticky dough here. So I'm going to finish cleaning it off of my fingers, and then we'll be ready to roll it and put it on a cookie sheet. We've dumped our dough out of the bowl onto a plate so we can get at it. We've also got a paper plate here full of flour. The dough is still very sticky, and we're going to handle it with our fingers. So press your palms down into the flour so that they're coated, a little bit on your fingertips, and then just pinch off a little ball of dough. We pinch off a ½ tablespoon size piece of dough and roll it into a ½ inch diameter log that's 1½ to 2 inches long. In between each pull, you want to coat your hands and your fingers, because you send the flour with the dough when you roll it. You want to leave about an inch in between them because they'll spread out as they bake. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to finish filling up this tray and then we'll bake them. This sheet of Tarrales is ready to go into the oven. They bake in a preheated 350-degree oven for 13 to 15 minutes, rotating the baking sheet halfway through the baking cycle. The cookies are done when the bottoms turn a nice light brown. You can see there it's a nice golden color. The tops, however, are still almost white. You just can see at the points on the ends, it's just starting to turn brown. But you want the cookie still to look white on top and have that nice brown color on the bottom. Our Tarrales are finished baking. They're all cooled off and we've got them in a bowl. We've prepared our work surface by covering it with waxed paper and placing our wire racks over the waxed paper because we're going to glaze these cookies and just let the glaze drip down the sides and some of it will drip through. So now we're going to make the glaze. We have here 2 cups of powdered confectioner's sugar, a half a teaspoon of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of melted and cooled margarine, and somewhere between a quarter and a half a cup of orange juice. And this is the orange juice that we've gotten from the oranges that we got the orange peel from that we used in the cookie dough itself. And this is going to make a nice snappy orange glaze to put on these cookies. And we just kind of put a little bit in, and we're looking for a consistency that we can dip the cookie in and have it run down the side. And when I say it's a quarter to a half cup, you just got to kind of add it gradually till you get what you're looking for. Now that's probably just a little bit too thick, so we're going to put in a little bit more, just a bit. And always add it just a little bit at a time, because you can always put more in, but you can't take it out once it's in there. And the other thing you got to make sure you do is you get all of that powdered sugar dissolved so that you don't get little white hunks in your glaze when the cookies are dry. And that looks good. And then this gets real easy. We just take a cookie, hold it, dip the top in the glaze, give it a little shake, and put it on the wire rack. Give it a little shake, put it on the rack. And then every 3 or 4 cookies, we like to take a few sprinkles, put them on there, and you want to get them on there before the glaze starts to set up. And make sure you wipe your hands so you don't get any sprinkles in the glaze. Our Tarrales are all glazed and they're ready to eat.